Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Karachi and in this video we will discuss securing wireless network communication. Now, in this video we're going to talk about service provider level security, end-to-end encryption, using VPN, installing a firewall on company's local network, Wi-Fi security, and Bluetooth security. Now, the service provider level security, basically, you could see that there are like three major zones here. Here you got the end user, your devices, basically. Here we have the network service provider level of security. And finally, we have the cloud-based service provider. Now, the user level of the security basically, which is something we already discussed about this previously, which contains the logical and the physical security. Now, the responsibility of the mobile device security lies with the end user, not the ISP or the mobile service providers. They cannot take responsibility for internet security or enforce strict user security rules. Otherwise, the provider can be sued if there is a breach at the user device level. So, therefore, users must take security measures themselves, including the physical and the logical security of their mobile devices. As a summary of what we discussed previously in the previous videos, the physical security of mobile device covers protection against theft, damage, and misplacement. The cybersecurity measures at the user level include password management, software updates, firewalls, antivirus, and anti-malware. Users are responsible for securing Wi-Fi devices or access points to prevent hackers from committing malicious activities. Therefore, proper security for wireless access point at home, at work is critical to handle at the end user level security. Now, the service provider level security, stand for NSP. This term is basically related to the ISP or even the mobile network providers. Usually, a mobile service provider also works as an ISP as well. So the network providers have implemented security policies such as IDS or IPS, access list, firewalls, and IP filters at the network and transport layers. However, these security measures do not provide security at the user level, as users can visit risky websites. The application level of the mobile security is not the responsibility of the ISPs, but they are required to prioritize personal data and privacy protection according to regulation and standards. There are many regulations that vary from region and country, and the service providers must follow these regulation and ethical policies to safeguard users' privacy and security. Now, the role of the ISP for security have basically a limited but crucial role in mobile user security, which is governed by different laws, regulations, standard, policy. Okay. Now, the privacy and the security of users at the ISP level are defined in a comprehensive security policy that covers multiple components, including subscriber security and privacy, server installation and operations, password hardening policies, monitoring and auditing, and standard operational procedure. Now, cloud based service provider level security require maintaining a high level of security and privacy for mobile users. There should be some comprehensive set of policy, procedures, and control in place. There should be a policy about the data use. There should be a comprehensive written policy on where the data will be stored, who is going to be shared with, especially with a third party, and in some cases, The cloud-based service provider should comply with international and regional laws and regulations. Now, there should be also a comprehensive mechanism for handling stakeholders regarding any data breaches or incidents, that impact mobile users. There's also a few things like, for example, data configuration rules and security, what type of policy they have about data encryption, and another thing that's very important, disaster recovery mechanism. Okay, so the cloud-based service providers are responsible for maintaining the security of their services and are governed by rules and regulations in all countries and regions. The standard policies to regulate cloud-based service globally are always evolving and changing. Now, let's look at end-to-end encryption. Now, end-to-end encryption is a secure communication method that ensures that only sender and intended recipient can read the messages sent between them. In end-to-end encryption, the content of the message is encrypted on the sender's device and it stays encrypted as it travels across the internet or any other communication channel until it reaches the intended recipient's device. Now, the encryption keys used to encrypt and decrypt the message are generated and managed only by the sender and the recipient. There are and are never shared with anyone else, including the service provider that is facilitating the communication only. This means that even if a hacker or a government agency try to intercept these messages while it's being transmitted, they won't be able to read its content because they don't have the encryption key, especially if you're using very strong encryption keys. Now, here is, for example, like some good example, like Signal. Signal is very well known application. In Signal, the messages they send to each other are encrypted on their devices using a unique encryption key. The key is then sent along with the message to the recipient device, where it is used to decrypt the message. Now, since the encryption key is only known to the sender and the recipient, no one else can access or read the messages, not even the signal service provider. There's also another example is WhatsApp. It uses a protocol called Signal, by the way, for its end-to-end encryption, which means that messages, photos, and video sent on WhatsApp are encrypted and can only be read by the intended recipient. The encryption keys, by the way, used in WhatsApp are generated and managed by the app on the user devices, and they are not shared with anyone, including WhatsApp itself. Now, the end-to-end encryption plays a very important and critical role in maintaining a high level of user privacy and mobile security. It helps prevent the man in the middle attacks from compromising the communication between legitimate users. Now let's talk about the VPN. We all use VPN. We always use VPN to connect to our headquarters or so the VPN is a technology that allows users to securely connect to internet through private encrypted network. See, when you use a VPN, your internet traffic is routed through an encrypted tunnel, which helps protect your online privacy and security. Now, there are also other uses of VPN. For example, you could use it to bypass any restrictions on accessing certain media, websites, services, especially if you go to some countries where they have, very strict control over their citizen where to access. You could also use it to hide your true location, you know. You could use it to hide the web browsing activities from the ISPs. You could stream media from Hulu or Netflix websites from restricted countries and region. A lot of people they use it. They turn on the VPN and they're able to access a lot of movies or TV shows that are not allowed outside the United States. Bypassing the snooping over any untrustworthy wireless access point, hiding from being logged, while using torrents, for example. So, VPN services are also used for accessing location-based restricted web resources, like services, media services or websites or anything like this, like Amazon and others as well. Now, any business can create and run their own VPN server. It is not really difficult. They can buy a dedicated VPN hardware device, and they need to install the VPN client on the user's computer. They just want to make sure that they can configure the security protocols on both client and the server the same, so a connection can be established successfully. You know, uh, but here you could see that we have plenty of VPN providers like NordVPN, CyberGhost VPN, ExpressVPN, TunnelBear VPN. Now, you might be asking, what is the criteria for selecting a VPN? Now, the first criteria is security and privacy feature. Always look for a VPN provider that uses strong encryption like AES 256. Look and read carefully. And also, it can provide some other security features like DNS leak protection and no logs policy. This is very important. So make sure to read it very carefully. Now, another criteria is the server locations and network size. Something to consider, because the more server locations spread all over the world, okay, the better your chances of finding a fast and reliable connection. Now, another important thing is the connection speed and performance. You need to test the VPN provider's connection speed and performance to ensure it meets your needs, especially if you plan to use it for video streaming, like access Netflix. If you went to Europe or any another country, okay, gaming also as well. Compatibility with the devices and operating system. Check if the VPN provider offers client software or application that compatible with your devices and operating system. Customer support is very important. Look for a VPN provider that offers excellent customer support, like 24/7 live chat or email support, in case you need it. The price comparison is very important. And be wary from free VPN services, because they might not offer the same level of security and privacy as paid services. Finally, read the reviews. Do some research on the VPN provider's reputation, and make sure to read a lot of reviews, not very few, so you can get a good idea about the provider. Now, let's talk about the firewall. You know, Firewall tracks and controls network traffic, both for incoming and outgoing. It allows certain things and prevents something else. So basically, firewall tracks and control all incoming and outgoing traffic between trusted and untrusted networks. This is the untrusted, and this is the trusted networks, by monitoring and filtering the traffic based on predetermined security rules and criteria. Now, usually the firewall security system are divided into two categories. You got the host-based and you got the network-based firewall. Usually, the host-based is a software firewall. You install it on a computer system. Your Windows machine, for example. It comes with its own built-in firewall. And if you're not satisfied with this, you could always buy another firewall from a third party. On the other hand, the network-based firewall is a hardware or could be a software device placed at the boundary you see here, of the network. That's the boundary between the outside and the inside network here. Okay, so There are three major generation of firewalls. The first one is the first generation with the packet filter firewalls, which works at the network layer 3 of OSI model and examines individual packets of data that pass through it. It filters traffic based on the source and destination IP addresses, ports, and protocols. It makes access control decisions based on predetermined rules and criteria, which the one you need to configure it. Now, the second generation firewall is the stateful filter firewall. It operates at the transport layer 4, okay? The transport layer of OSI model and can differentiate between legitimate and illegitimate packets by maintaining a state table of active connections. It tracks the state of the connections and the packets that allows only those packets that belong to an established connection or are part of an authorized session. Now, this firewall technology is more secure than the first generation because it can prevent different type of attacks such as IP spoofing. The third one is the application layer filter firewall, which operate at OSI models application layer, layer 7, and can inspect the content of the packets and the data streams. It can filter traffic based on application use and identify and block malicious code. It provides the highest level of security among the three generations of the firewall technology, but it requires more processing power and can become complex to manage. Now, let's look at the Wi-Fi security. Here, there are a few tips to consider how to maintain the security of the Wi-Fi access point in an office or workspace. You know, always maintain a high level of physical security, okay, of your access point in the office or or workspace. If someone with a malicious intention get access to the Wi-Fi access point, the attacker can reset the settings and restore the default settings, which means no one will be able to connect to the network. Okay. Check for rogue access points. You know, you could always use a network scanner such as NetSpot to scan the surrounding Wi-Fi networks and identify any unauthorized access point that are broadcasting in your area. Also, try to analyze the network traffic using Wireshark to look for any wireless traffic not associated with the authorized access point in your network. Furthermore, I recommend to do physical site surveys. Walk around the area with a Wi-Fi scanner, try to detect any unauthorized access points. Now, what about hiding the SSID? I'm sure you heard about this. Well, this type of thing is considered very basic security measure. It's very weak, actually. While it may help prevent casual users from connecting to your wireless, securing a wireless network is not a foolproof method using hide SSID because experienced attackers can use various tools and techniques to detect the presence of a hidden SSID. Also, hiding the SSID may cause inconvenience for legitimate users who do not know even how to configure a Wi-Fi into their own system. You know, now, use WPA Enterprise and 802.1x client settings here. Now, the WPA Enterprise, this is a very good security protocol, which is used to secure the Wi-Fi networks. It is an enhanced version of WPA, the Wi-Fi protected access, that provides a stronger security by using 802.1x authentication, which requires each user to have a unique username and password. Now, the WPA Enterprise requires a radius server. A radius stands for Remote Authentication Dial-In User Service server to authenticate users, adding an extra security layer. By the way, this method is commonly used in all major enterprise environments where multiple users need access to the same Wi-Fi network, and it ensures that only authorized users can connect to the network. Now, the 802.1x client settings, it's a security feature that should be used on all devices connected to a particular Wi-Fi access point. Let's assume a scenario, for example, attackers can basically set up a fake Wi-Fi network near your office and lure users into connecting to it. Now, once the user is connected, the attacker can then capture the user's login credential or some other important information if it's not encrypted, which could be used to access the real access point of your company. Now, by using 802.1x client settings on all devices, the client will not send any login credentials to a fake network. Instead, the client will confirm the Wi Fi network's authenticity before sending the login credentials. Now, this double security mechanisms helps prevent any potential misuse of login credentials and provides a higher level of security for the business network. So therefore, it is very important security measure to be implemented. Now, let's look at the Bluetooth security. There's major security threats like blue jacking, car whispering, and blue bugging. Now, first of all, the security of Bluetooth networks is very important because two devices connect to each other and valuable information is available on both master and the slave devices, which can be compromised by hackers using either Bluetooth or other wireless technology to access the Bluetooth enabled devices. Now, bluejacking refers to the practice of sending unsolicited messages or images to Bluetooth enabled devices without your permission. This can be done by exploiting the device discoverability or pairing mode, which allows it to be visible to other Bluetooth devices. It's usually this type of attack is harmless and is often used for fun or advertising purposes. Now, car whispering is a security vulnerability that allows an attacker to gain unauthorized access to a Bluetooth enabled car's onboard computer, typically to steal sensitive information or take control of the car's functions. Blue bugging is another serious security threat that enables an attacker to take complete control of a Bluetooth enabled device. Now, once the attacker has gained access to the mobile device, they can read, modify, or even delete any data stored on it, as well as make calls, send messages, and access the internet using the device data plan. So, this type of attack is considered as a very severe security vulnerability and can lead to identity theft, fraud, and other types of cyber crime. Now, the security of the Bluetooth enabled devices is defined by three basic means of security. The first one is device authentication process, device authorization process, and data confidentiality process. Now, the first one, device authentication process, this is the first process of Bluetooth security, is the authentication of devices. In the device authentication process, the connecting device are verified through messages on Bluetooth wireless. Authentication involves a challenge response mechanism where both devices exchange a secret code or PIN to authenticate each other. Now, device authorization process, this is the second element of Bluetooth security. Now, this element ensures that the device trying to connect and use Bluetooth wireless to access the information is authorized to do so. The process verifies the device authorization before allowing the device to access the desired data or communication. The last one is the data confidentiality process. That's the third essential element of Bluetooth security specification. It involves using encryption algorithm to scramble the data during transmission. Now, let's discuss how those things we mentioned, authentication, authorization, confidentiality processes can be applied to these methods. Now, there are different types of security modes, one, two, three, and four. The first one is non-secure mode, the one. It's the least secure mode of the operation and is only supported up to Bluetooth 2.0 plus EDR. These devices in this mode connect without any authentication and encryption, making it vulnerable to hacking and unauthorized access. It also does not verify the device authorization, which means it could compromise the confidentiality of the security mode. Now, mode number two provides authentication, authorization, and communication encryption through a centralized controller. It implements security policies for devices, applications, and storage on the devices and allows for flexible implementation of different types of restrictions on the services and devices. Almost all types of Bluetooth devices support this security feature, including authentication, encryption, and authorization. Now, mode number three is one of the most secure mode of operations, which offers link level security and supports only authentication and encryption before establishing the Bluetooth connection. The authorization is not supported in this mode as it is assumed that authenticated and encrypted connection has already been verified. Mode number four is the latest mandatory device security mode using Bluetooth version 2.1 plus EDR. The security mechanisms are implemented after the elliptic of the link, and it supports the secure simple pairing mechanism and the elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman technique, which is doing the key encryption exchange for generating and exchanging link keys. It also supports service protection and service restrictions mechanism. Now, finally, very few tips, I could say, for example, turn off the Bluetooth when you do not use it. Pay attention to your mobile. Okay. Do you need everything to be turned on? Are you using your Bluetooth speaker at this moment? If not, turn it off. Check your computer system. We found many times computers, the Bluetooth is turned on and the laptop does not use Bluetooth devices. Configure the devices to prompt for every connection, keeping the range of the device short. Turn off discovery mode except when pairing with trusted devices in a secure environment and keeping devices up to date with software and operating system. Finally, thank you so much for watching this video.